Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the GioMoShow, your home for all Golden Grizzlies basketball. My name is Giovanni Moceri. I am the host of the GioMoShow, and we got a lot of learning and catching up to do on this year's Horizon League. As every year, especially with transfer and NIL, etc., the league changes drastically from year to year, but with things that change, there are also things that stay the same. And to help us understand and get a good read on this year in the Horizon League, I brought on somebody who I know knows Horizon League better than most people should. In his words, it is Bob McDonald, head of the Horizon Roundtable, where they cover both men's and women's basketball for the Horizon League all throughout the season. He is also the host of the Horizon Roundtable podcast, where they go over each week of the Horizon League, both in and out of season, as well as a host of Expand Your Horizons Preview Edition, their podcast in partnership with the Horizon League, previewing and reviewing every week of basketball goodness, of men's basketball goodness at least. So he is a great conversation, a great subject matter expert, at least in my terms, on the Horizon League, and he's a great convo to have. Hope you guys can enjoy. Hope you guys go and follow and catch up on things at horizonroundtable.com. Listen to his podcast both in and out of season. And with all that being said, be sure to do the same for the GioMoShow. We'll kick it off to my conversation with Bob McDonald. Joining us here on the GioMoShow is a man who knows the Horizon League like the back of his hand, at least from year to year. It might change a little bit, but still more than familiar. The head of the Horizon Roundtable, Bob McDonald, joins us on the GioMoShow to give us a feel for this year of the Horizon League. Bob, how you doing? Welcome.
I'm glad you said he knows more about the Horizon League than any normal person should, which is the actual truth.
Maybe.
But thanks for having me on, man.
Of course, happy to have you. So let's get the big headline out of the way here. Of course, us pertaining to Oakland, seeing your guys' huge preview week that you do at the beginning or before every season. Every team, men's and women's, gets a preview as well as your predictions for end of season awards. You guys got Buru as the player of the year, and I'm very excited for it. I mean, just outside of the prediction of that, he's one of my favorite players. But why Buru?
Well, seems like everybody else had the same idea that we did, more or less. I will say this because we had seven of our writers, including myself, and my co-host on the podcast, Jim Cerro. We all voted on this, and our vote was a lot closer than you would have thought. It was really close, and it came down to Buru, and it came down to Orlando Lovejoy from Detroit Mercy, but. I mean, when you look at the numbers, you look at kind of, what Buru did last year, and kind of what is expected of him this season. I mean, that made all the sense in the world. I mean, I've said this before. Make no mistake, Oakland is Buru's team this year.
Yeah, and it's going to be awesome to see. I mean, part of what we were thinking last year was it was going to be a little more Buru's team, but luckily Mukeba was happy to share it with them, and they had that really powerful front court. But this year, them finally having the focus to it, I mean, that should prove to be at least get him into the all-league consideration because he was absent from it last year.
But last year was just so stacked, and it's funny. Well, and every single person on that postseason all-league team, the official all-league team, I'd like to point out, Orlando Lovejoy was on our all-league team last year. Everybody. We got a whole new group coming in, so it was just kind of looking at who was coming in, not just the returning players, because we had to kind of deep dive into all these transfers, because as you know, there's a whole bunch of them all the time, and even more so this year. So that's kind of where we went with that. But at the end of the day, Buru came out on top for us.
And then for him being a third-year player at the same school, it's very rare nowadays, especially after Oakland had that huge class of Townsend and Lampman and Conway, being those multi-year guys. You got another one in Buru. How big of an advantage is it to be a third year in the same program and be so familiar with the league and the team?
That is absolutely rare. I mean, I had to remind myself that Buru's been in this league for 2 seasons already. And if you get a guy who's been there for 3 years, I mean, that's insane. And we don't see that a lot anymore. We didn't see a lot of that. We don't see that a lot. I mean, last year was a couple of exceptions. I mean, last year you had Brandon Knoll from Wright State, who had been there for at least 3 years. He probably was there longer because he spent his first 2 years hurt. A guy like Dylan Arnett at Cleveland State was there for 3 years. Theoretically, he would have came back had Daniel Robinson not gone to North Texas and he go with him to North Texas with him, like just about half the team did. But yeah, when you look at it and you think to yourself, and then on the flip side of the coin, there are players that even their coaches admitted that they will probably not be here more than a year or two. Like, for example, Gabe Dines. Jared Calhoun straight out said in his freshman year, this is a kid who's probably going to spend a couple of years at Youngstown State and then eventually transition to another team. And lo and behold, he's at USC, coincidentally with Amarion Dickerson. The 1 and 2 top blocking guys in the conference are now at USC.
And then you brought up Brandon Knoll, and that's where I kind of wanted to go next, where last year for Wright State, he was the predicted player of the year, and it did not result in that way. I mean, beyond him, just Wright State as a whole was a little bit down that year. That makes me a little bit nervous as an Oakland fan seeing Buru as the preseason player of the year. And I want to point out, not just by you guys, but by the Horizon League's official preseason poll as well. Is there something to, is it like a Madden curse to be the predicted player of the year? Like, how often does it kind of fulfill itself?
Not all the time. I mean, in years past, we've had guys like Loudon Love, when Wright State was obviously better than they were last year. Antoine Davis is, but that's Antoine Davis, so he was going to be that guy to begin with. And it's not entirely surprising that you get guys like that, and it's not necessarily a curse per se. I think the surprising thing, of course, is that, just because we've been wrong many times before, and we'll probably be wrong again. That's what we do. We're just disclaiming that now, or every time we do this. But there's always some guy who just comes out of, it seems like every year there's always some guy that comes out of the woodwork, and that is even more true now in kind of the transfer portal NIL era than it ever has been.
And now zooming out to the rest of the Horizon League here. So we're going to have a better feel for the team itself when later on in the GioMoShow we'll talk to Griffin Beers and Jake Masucci closer to the program. I want to zoom in out to the rest of the league here, where Oakland, you guys have them at the number 4 spot to finish in the league this year, and Milwaukee being the predicted number 1 team. Kind of give us a sense of the landscape that as you guys see it for this year in the Horizon League. Who are the top dogs? Who's Oakland got to watch out for?
Milwaukee is definitely on top. Getting Faison Fields back. Here's another guy, rare guy who's been at Milwaukee. This will be year. I think he's been there almost the entire time in the Bart Lundy era, but this will be his 3rd year doing that. So another guy who, and this is going to be a great. I expect this to be a breakout year for him. We said that last year, and then he got hurt. But he's 100% now. So, but Milwaukee just brought in so many big pieces. Amari Aguilar is the one that not just us, but everybody else is talking about. The league had Seth Hubbard as an all-league second-teamer preseason. To my everlasting shame, I took him out of my vote for the all-league. And there's a couple of other pieces that I'm not going to be surprised to see a lot more of. The one that I think is going to sneak up on folks is going to be Danilo Jovanovic. The Milwaukee neighbor. He also was hampered with injuries last year, but I think we're going to see a lot more of him than we expect. And then we go over to Youngstown State, and they don't rebuild, they reload, and they always do it with 1 or 2 core pieces. This year they got Chris Carroll and Jason Nelson, and they got a bunch of other guys that are just like Vlad Salarice and Bryson Dawkins and Cam Pollock, the D2 transfer. These guys are definitely guys that fit into the Ethan Faulkner system, which is obviously an extension of what he did as an assistant under Jared Calhoun. I mean, I keep saying if it's not broke, don't fix it, and they're sure not breaking it. That's for sure. And the same thing is true with Robert Morris, with just bringing Ryan Prather back, but bringing back a bunch of other guys. And I had to look at this, and I had to look year over year from last year, the team that Robert Morris had last year that won the regular season title and the tournament itself. And I realized it didn't occur to me that like one of the only pieces they had that carried over from the previous season was Alvaro Folgueras. So Justice Williams was supposed to, but he ended up getting hurt and then eventually transferred out. And I didn't realize that at the time. So, guys like Andy Toole and Ethan Faulkner have really gotten used to, retooling as they see fit. And I think those are and that's why they're rated so high. And we had them tied for second, by the way. So, but when we talked about them in the our post preview week episode, we did Youngstown State first and then Robert Morris second because alphabetical order. That's what that's the only thing we suffer from. And I gotta say we had Purdue Fort Wayne pretty high. I am not as high on Purdue Fort Wayne as everybody else, but I also am on record saying that I'm terrible at predicting where Purdue Fort Wayne's going to end up. And that's probably going to be true this year as well because they do have they got Corey Hadnot, so he's going to jump from the first guy off the bench to I expect him to jump to the starting rotation. And then they brought in Darius, and Max Nelson is still back for another season. Another guy this will be his third year, and they brought in Darius Duffy from Milwaukee, and you know how we love Horizon on Horizon crime. And I think that one is a good piece because obviously Eric Mulder transferred and they needed some size there, and they got it with Darius Duffy.
And you mentioned it as far as where it was really close for the Player of the Year, Orlando Lovejoy of Detroit Mercy. They had a really young team last year, but kind of exceeded like the admittedly low expectations they had, and I want to focus on them for the rivalry's sake. But Lovejoy returning, that as well as they had a ton of great freshmen last year, too, that are coming back. Where do you see Detroit Mercy in the mix of everything?
I see them a lot higher than we have ranked. I think we had them placed 7th. I have them in my own picks 3rd. My way too early picks from July, I had them 2nd. They didn't fall too far enough for me. But one of the things, to your point, the one thing that kind of swayed me is the fact they have the 3 guys, TJ Nadeau, Nate Johnson, and Ryan Callambay, who probably got a lot more playing time last year as freshmen than you would have expected, primarily because they got hurt. Injuries killed them, especially early on. Mac Mansell went out early. He did eventually come back. Jared Larry got hurt, and then he was out. So they kind of had to be forced into action. I think that gives them a little bit more experience than that would have been more than they otherwise would have. Now, one of the other things too with Detroit Mercy, it's very clear that Coach Monty does not shy away from playing freshmen, which is why I think when you see their freshmen coming in, they got the Cleveland State transfer Tyler Spratt, who was a redshirt, so technically he's not Horizon on Horizon crime. He's just a redshirt who didn't play, but he will be on Detroit Mercy's roster. But then you also have Keyshawn Fisher and Lance Stowe, and at least Mid-Major Madness named Keyshawn Fisher their preseason freshman of the year. We named Lance Stone for preseason freshman of the year, and by we I mean I picked all those things, by the way. So if they all fall off, it's my fault. That whole entire list. But yeah, those two guys. I mean, and Monty is not shy about playing freshmen for sure. And so if they get into a situation where they need to. And I don't even think they need to be in a situation where they're gonna be calling on these freshmen because of the injuries. I think that they have enough of a jump that they're gonna end up in the rotation all on their own.
And as we wrap things up here in our Horizon League preview, we started with Buru, and I want to kind of end it with where you guys had Oakland finishing fourth. Why Oakland fourth, and why do you think the Horizon League, them having Oakland as second, why do they have them higher?
You'll have to ask the Horizon League. I don't know about that. Well, the one thing about Oakland that we know, since Oakland has joined the Horizon League, they've never finished worse than sixth. So that's their floor. So taking that as their floor, and knowing they're basically going to, spend most of the non-conference going to a lot of bye games, playing probably some of the toughest competition in the country.
Like it's scary.
Yeah. Yes, it is. But looking at that, when you look at that, I mean, I see the kind of the financial aspect of it, but I also definitely see the functional part of that, where you're playing the best competition, you're going up against some of the best the country has to offer, and so you're going to come into the Horizon League, and it's not going to be as daunting a task as maybe it would if you're playing as Doug Gottlieb says, nobody you.
No, but instead of nobody you, it's just some Purdue, some Houston, Michigan State. Are you kidding me?
I mean, we should be used to this by now, man. We should be used to this by now.
I mean, honestly, we should be as well. I mean, especially last year was no slouch either. We had Arkansas thrown in there as well. Exhibition against Michigan.
Calipari wanted his revenge. That's how he got that game.
Yeah. Hey, honestly, I was a sucker for it too. Sadly, it was on a Monday Night Football game here in Detroit, so I had to balance the screens a little bit. But I wanted the part two.
Must be nice to have a football team that's good and non-dysfunctional.
We've deserved it. We've earned it. It's been bad for a while.
Clearly, we haven't.
Well, anyway, that'll wrap us up here on the JoMo Show. Bob McDonald, here's a great conversation and a great knowledge. A subject matter expert, as I would call it, in terms of the Horizon League. Thank you so much for joining us on the JoMo Show.
You said sicko wrong.
Excuse my pronunciation. But you can find all of their stuff at horizonroundtable.com. You can listen to their podcast, the Horizon Roundtable. And are you guys continuing Expand Your Horizons Preview Edition throughout the season?
We are, yes. We absolutely are. We're doing Season 2 of Expand Your Horizon Preview Edition. That will start first week of December, right when the conference games start. And we are looking forward to doing that again.
And it's going to be a great listen for you guys. Be sure to follow the Horizon Roundtable in every way that you can. They do great work in supporting not only the Golden Grizzlies coverage, but of that, the entire Horizon League. So that'll wrap us up here. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time here on The JoMo Show.